Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Caped Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, Rick Paugh. We're here to break down the Thinning Veil Anthology and everything in between. Rick, welcome to today's stream. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I'm doing awesome too. Just literally while we were going live backstage, got the call that my car is out the shop, so I am ready to keep it geekly today, baby. And we are breaking down a brand new anthology. But before we dive into this, Rick, give us a little bit about who you are and how you came into creating indie comics.
Okay. I mean, I've been like a lot of comics people. I've been a fan since, wee little kid, pretty much as long as I can remember. Always wanted to grow up being an artist, but I kind of suck at that. And I don't know, for some reason, I just never thought, I could never do writing either. Like I'm just, not that good, self-confidence issues or whatever. And I remember several years ago, probably almost 10 years ago now, I saw script examples in a book and of one of the really good writers. I think it might have been Bill Willingham, good writer, fables. I mean, astounding writer. And I saw his script he wrote for another book, and I'm thinking, I'm studying it. I'm looking at how he wrote it, how he structures the story, what he gives the artist, what he doesn't give the artist. And I'm thinking that really aligns to how I think and how I write. I bet I could do that. And I remember not long after that, there was a convention in town, and I don't know if you've heard of Dirk Manning. He did a writing panel, and so I attended it and talked to him after. A great guy, very supportive. He was writing blogs for years about writing comics, and he had produced a book called Right or Wrong. So I read that. I'm like, cover to cover. Learn everything about writing and working with artists and all that stuff.
Was it a play on words though? Was it like the word right, or was it like
yes.
right?
That's
I love it. I love
it. Yep. Creative dude, right? And I read that, and I was like, okay, I got this. Let me see if I can actually write a story and put together a script. And when I did, I thought, hey, this might actually work. Got online, managed to find an artist and got my first 8-page mini comic started. But as you know, comic producing is very expensive and time consuming. And after that, it kind of died for a while. And I realized, oh man, it's been way too long since I did that. I need to put my money where my mouth is and just put up some funds. Let's produce a full book. I've got a couple more stories, a couple more artists. So, it's 3 stories, 3 artists, and actually produced a book. And so now I'm just kind of taking the stage as a new creator and hoping to get the first book published through Kickstarter with the intention of getting some funds to really help fund the next book.
So how was it completing that first story for you, though? I know you really wanted to get something creative. Was it like a nice feeling to have that, like the little short story?
It was like on a cloud, man. That was surreal. Like to take something out of your mind, you write it down, and the artist hands you this final work, and you're just reading through it thinking, wow, it's like this guy just pulled something out of my mind and handed it to me. It's such a wild feeling to see something that was in your head come alive. And there was just no other words, no other feeling for it. It was almost indescribable.
So what was that story called?
That was originally that started as The Thinning Veil, and I kind of hit a series where I was kind of trying to write, the next set, and I wasn't liking where it was going. And I started coming up with some other stories. I'm like, okay, we need to take the title out of it. The title is the collection, the anthology, and then I changed the name. And so the first book is just called The Midnight Guardian.
Okay, so that ended up being a part of the anthology then.
Yeah, I thought that ended up fitting well. A lot of the other scripts, I was just, an idea would pop into my head. I'd write a script for it. And I started to realize that, hey, these would all fit together really well as an anthology under this kind of thinning veil topic, this idea of what's going on between the real world and, the afterlife, and what happens when this energy crosses back and forth. And so I thought, hey, this fits really well. So it ended up being the first story in the anthology, and I put up the funds to get 2 more in there. So we got 3 total.
So the book's already completed, like anthology wise, or?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's ready to print. So that takes so much of the stress out of the Kickstarter itself, because you're just left with doing the promotion part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm a big, in recent years, I've really been kind of shifting away from, the big 2, the DC Marvel stuff. And I've really been putting a lot of support and time and attention into indie productions. You might see I've backed well over 200 Kickstarters. A huge chunk of that was probably just in the last year. Like I thought,
it gets addicting. It gets addicting though, man. It really does.
My wife had to be like, you should probably, like, do you realize you're spending this much? You should probably back off.
Tax write-off, baby. That's all that matters.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. It's research for the next book. But I figured, what kind of person am I to come out and say, fund my book, if I'm not going to go out and support others? So it has been very, very important to me to get in like the Facebook and Twitter communities, find other artists and writers and see what they're doing, support their books, and really help them achieve their dreams, with the hope that when they come around, they'll say, oh, hey, this guy was supporting me. Maybe, we'll help throw him a few bucks.
Dude, let's go. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, though. The indie community is a big, scratch my back, I scratch your back type of community, from what I've seen in a lot of different parts. And I think that's really awesome, too, because, I mean, backing that many projects, that had to have helped you create your own Kickstarter. Seeing so many different projects and how like the campaigns were laid out, that had to have been some nice like actual research at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was lots and lots of time reviewing what other people were putting in their campaigns, how they were structuring things, what kind of rewards they would put in, things like that. So yeah, definitely a lot of research. Even going through their own books, I print a book, I get it in the mail, I'm flipping through it saying, okay, how'd they do the cover page? What artwork did they pick for the cover? The credit page, how did they lay their books out? And tried to use that experience and knowledge to hopefully give mine that professional touch, that edge that makes it look like it's a legit book.
So what type of anthology is this going to be? Is it going to be like horror based? It kind of gives me a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe. So I kind of initially describe it as kind of horror / supernatural. There's some sci-fi elements in it as well, but it kind of, to give you an idea, I think it kind of aligns with things like Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, Scary Stories You Tell in the Dark. You remember those books?
Oh, I remember being a kid, and we had a copy of what was it? Tales from the Crypt, Demon Rider, or Demon Knight. I forgot which one it was, but I remember there's a scene in particular I kept rewinding back to, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And so it's kind of, it's not horror in like the Friday the 13th, Halloween sense typically. Like a lot of it's not really slasher based. I'll throw in some psychological stuff, some just some thought-provoking stuff sometimes, just stuff to make you wonder, like, ooh, what's going on here, try to throw in some creepy stuff. In the end, I've got so many stories across so many slight genre variations that I'm hoping by the end of it, there will be a little something that everybody likes. That there should be one story that can resonate with somebody. Like anybody can find one story they like in the whole collection. I've got probably over 150 pages planned out. So
how many volumes does that end up being? Or have you not figured that part out yet?
I did a rough estimate a while back before I'd thrown a couple more ideas in, and I think I was up to what was it? Oh, dang, I don't even remember. Like 10 or 15 issues, maybe.
Ooh, let's go. That is a great start.
My grand dream is to compile it all into like this, prestige hardcover. I think that would be just sweet to have that, you know, like that coffee table book that's like, here's this beautiful book with all of these stories in it. But I figured, you know, I should probably start with the individual issues, because
Kind of reminds me of what is it, Tales to Tell? I forgot what it's called. It's like Tales to Tell in the Dark or whatever. I remember reading it as a kid. It was always messed up stories in there. It always had the most craziest art, like on the cover and stuff.
I think it was called Scary Stories You Tell in the
Yes.
Dark. And then there was like 2 or 3 volumes that the title was slightly different. Yeah, they always had weird artwork, and it was really creative writing, really creative stories. And some even had a little like dark humor in them. And so I even try to incorporate elements like that into my book as well.
No, that is awesome. We have Calculus over on YouTube stopping in to say, hey-o. Welcome to the stream, Calculus. I hope you're having an awesome morning. Get that coffee brewing, and it's time to keep it geekly, baby. So, Rick, so are these anthologies like, you know, like a start, just like a nice start for you to get into writing, or are you like planning on like just pumping anthology after anthology out? Like, where do you see yourself as a writer in the future? Like, what type of stories do you want to start telling?
Well, I actually have a bunch of other stories I was thinking about. I figured anthology was a good way to start, because I know when you're getting into writing, when you're really starting out, short stories are the best way to start. They kind of give you that practice. Plus, it is kind of a writing challenge to say, okay, you need to start, a middle, and an end within like 8 or 10 pages.
Oh yeah.
Right. You know, you're not flushing out this grand design. And plus, I've seen so many comments from like professional writers online saying, hey, don't pitch me this grand epic, because we're not going to publish that. We're not going to look at you. We're not going to give you the time of day, because who says you can even do that? They're like, we want to look at shorter, isolated groups of stories. And then if it happens to grow beyond there, great. And so that was kind of my initial focus. But yeah, I do have several other ideas in the works. Couple kind of fantasy, switching into kind of steampunkish stories. Like one of them is kind of a big long story I've been working with for a while. And then I ended up with like a prequel that I thought was really cool leading up to that. And I got a lot of detail in that. But I'm like, oh, it's gonna be hard to sell something that big to an audience that isn't familiar with me or the work or anything like that.
I mean,
hopefully this is a good start, but I'd love to branch out to other things.
No, absolutely. This is interview 160, and I would say 60 to 70% of the people I've talked to has always said that one of the biggest pieces of advice they can offer is start small, like do a single shot, do a 1 page, or do, you know, a couple pages. Don't like break yourself by trying to write your like masterpiece right off the rip. So I think that is an awesome way to go about it, you know, getting started, you know, showing what you're capable of with multiple stories as well. You know, you can cut these individually and like serve them up, you know, individually as well as an anthology. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, let's hope it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an awesome opportunity. This campaign is still in the pre-launch stages until later on today, but Rick has offered us the opportunity to take a look at the Kickstarter. So this is going to be a nice little like exclusive look. Let's go ahead and kind of pull that up and deep dive it a little bit. So we are looking at the Thinning Veil Anthology issue number 1. Explore what happens when the veil separating the realm from the next begins to thin through 3 short stories of heart and horror. I really like that too. That is an awesome way to start it. So you're going to have a goal of 3,500 with 30 days to go.
It may drop a little below that. We'll see. So yeah, there definitely may be some modifications. That'd be real nice, but I'm starting to wonder if there's enough support yet for it.
So here is the story. The veil, protecting the mortal world from the spiritual one is thinning. And then a look at an interior panel right here. So which story is this one from?
That is from the third one, Trapped.
So some simply want another shot at life, some have unfinished business, and some have far more nefarious intentions. What they did not expect was a 2-way connection. So this is going to be a first of many issues as a 3 short story, 26 pages of content plus additional intro art for each story, all written by you. So are all 3 stories have different artists as well?
Correct. Yeah, you can scroll down and see a sample page of each one, and you can see kind of the different art styles.
So right here is Midnight Guardian, A young girl struggling with nightmares learns about coping with fear. So this seems like a really interesting one. Was it hard to write from like a younger like perspective?
So what's interesting is this particular story was actually based on a way that I coped with nightmares as a kid.
Okay, no, that's awesome.
So I actually drew inspiration from my real life on that one.
And then Children of the Forest, a hiker lost in a mysterious forest finds another lost. So real quick though, let's give a shout out to the artist. So who's the artist on Midnight Guardian?
I guess he goes by Miko. I haven't actually talked to him in a while. He's on DeviantArt. I think that's where I found him. He's got just kind of a bunch of random work on there. I actually don't know how much other comic work he's done since. Because like I said, we produced that particular story like 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Children of the Forest. Who's the artist on this one?
Matthias Fagiani.
And then what's this story going to be about then?
So yeah, this one, this hiker is going through the woods and he's kind of lost. He's, and I wanted to convey that he's an experienced hiker. So the fact that he's kind of lost and doesn't know what's going on is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes across the body of this boy in the woods, and, he tries to do the right thing and, figure out where he came from and get him back to town, back to his family, so they know what happened to him. And I can't really reveal the rest.
No, yeah. No, I get it. That would be such a tough pickle to be like, that's a rough situation to be in. How do you explain you came across this dead body for once it's all said and done? That's a sticky situation. And then we have Trapped. Who's your artist on this one?
Gabriel Nisi.
And then this is about a car accident leaving the driver in a strange state as doctors try to learn more. So this is the panel that we've seen up above. Now this is a really interesting perspective as well too. So is he like fading in and out like between life and death, or?
Yeah, this is after the accident. He's kind of waking up. The doctors are trying to figure out what's going on, and the driver is also trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see from this panel, the doctors are pretty much like, yep, he's done. But he's like, I'm not. What's going on here?
And wild, I love the different art styles too. They're all very distinctively way different art styles.
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely love working with various artists and really taking their style and matching it to the tone of the book, or to the story. And like the second one, The Children of the Forest, I wasn't even prepared to write that story yet. And I happened to see Matthias on Facebook advertising, artwork that he had done, looking for, saying he was taking commissions, looking for work. And as the instant I saw his art style, I was like, oh, I got a story that would work perfect for that. And he's like, yep, I'm interested. And I went through and I was like, oh crap, this script is nowhere near ready. And so then I rushed through and I'm like, okay, I got to finish this. This because, I don't want to lose this guy. And it was just really cool. It was really awesome. That feeling of seeing that and immediately picturing your work in it, and then seeing that artist bring it alive. It was really cool.
Oh, that is awesome. And then we have a look at some of the covers below too. So is this going to be your cover A right here?
Sure is.
And then who is your artist involved on this one?
I don't know how she pronounces it. It's Deborah Lancianisi. I believe she's Italian. I saw some great work from her through
this is gorgeous.
Facebook, through because I follow tons of people online. I'm constantly looking at artwork and I find something I like, I save a reference to the artist, so I can go back and I happened to see something from her. I was like, wow, that's really cool. I need her to do a cover for my book.
And then we have the wraparound right here. So this is a blank cover for people to draw on?
Yes. So we've got a blank cover here, and yep, it wraps around. And you'll notice I moved the logo on the back to the far corner. And so the purpose is to give you this nice, big, wide view to draw on. I know artists are not going to be familiar with the book, but I decided to go ahead and take the leap with a blank cover, hoping people would pick it, just because the nature of the book is anything strange, otherworldly, anything like that. And so I thought that opened up to a lot of artistic potential. Like you could go to any artist and say, draw me something weird, and just watch them go nuts. And I thought it'd be really cool just to see what people come up with. And the hope is that if people do pick this tier with that cover, that they're willing to share, what artist they get to draw. And I'd love to see what they get out of it.
No, that would be awesome. And then we have your cover C right here as well. And then who is this done by?
That is Seth Demus. I mentioned at the start, learning, kind of tackling writing from a writer named Dirk Manning. In one of his series, Tales of Mr. Ree, Seth Demus did a lot of art for that.
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
So that's where I saw him from. So I reached out and said, hey, would you be willing to do a cover for me? And he was very excited to do it. And he put this together, and my mind was blown. And I got sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's so cool that you were able to have someone who was like influenced you almost, right? Like was a part of the learning course that you were, a part of, and like to have them be a part of your first anthology, that has to be such a surreal feeling.
I know. I couldn't believe he said yes, and he seemed excited that I asked him. I'm like, I feel like I'm the fan geeking out here. It shouldn't be the other way around.
And we have your cover D, Twilight Zone. So this is done by you?
Yeah, I did that.
Let's go. That's so awesome. How does it feel to have like a cover that you created?
Pretty cool. I know it's not as fancy or as, you might argue, as artistic as some of the other covers, but I don't know. I was pretty proud of how it came out. I thought it was a pretty good homage to the kind of Twilight Zone intro and their little door floating out in space. I found the font that was used for the original Twilight Zone or something similar, and did some manipulation on it so that I could reproduce that type of look with the book.
Oh, that is awesome. And then we have a cover.
Of course, you'll notice it. The additional art on it represents items from each of the 3 stories. Okay,
yeah. So this is from the forest, right? Because I remember the shadow's kind of looking similar to that. Which one's the brain from then?
That's Trapped.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea of being kind of trapped inside your own mind or inside yourself, and kind of the exploration of that. And then the kind of monster out of nowhere is from the Midnight Guardian, the dreams about monsters.
Oh, I got you. No, that's cool how you threw the little Easter eggs in there as well. And then we have the cover E by Seth as well.
Yeah, I decided that artwork was just so phenomenal that I wanted to offer a virgin variant, just so people could really display that as a piece of art. And
then right here are the rewards. So do all these rewards go hand in hand with the scrollable rewards on the side? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and check those out as well. So we have a digital copy of the Thinning Veil Anthology. What's the price for
the digital is just $5.
Here, let me scroll up here. We'll
you can go through the...
Yeah, we'll just go right here. So we have pledge $5 or more, you get the digital copy of the Veil Anthology, of the Thinning Veil, excuse me. 15 or more is going to get you cover A physical, as well as a digital copy, and then the Unseen Limited Edition green hollow chrome card. So what's that card? Is that going to be like a trading card?
Yeah. So I worked with someone named Kayla Rainey, who does a lot of art. She does a lot of really cool art. She did the art for Scarlet Ranger. I don't know if you're familiar with that, with Rolam. She did some really cool artwork. I got her to do a really cool tarot-like trading card. I'm getting some slight tweaks to it right now, so I unfortunately don't have a good picture of it yet. But the idea was to kind of give those early backers, because you'll see it's limited. So the idea 25. Was to give those early backers a chance to get this version of the card with kind of like a hollow. There's 2 versions, like a kind of a greenish hollow and then a normal gold cover.
That's so cool. I love that. And then so right here, 15 or more, you cover A physical. So this is without basically
without
not
the
early
card,
bird. Yeah.
Without the limited cards, yeah.
And then $20 or more, you're gonna get the cover B physical, which is gonna be that wraparound blank sketch variant. Cover C is gonna be $25. Cover
Yep,
D,
starting
25
getting
as well.
Limited.
And then cover E is going to be 35. And then all of these, of course, are going to have the digital PDF as well as the name and the thank you section as well. So 80 more is going to be the transparent view. So that's going to be cover A, B, C, D, and then the digital copy, and then the thank you. So I like that too. You get 4 different covers for the price of
Yeah, and it's a few bucks off of if you bought them all individually and just did add-ons. So I wanted to give people kind of an incentive if they wanted the whole package without spending too much money.
And then we have a full page colored ad for $250. So that's pretty good, outstanding price as well. You're offering 2 of these as well. So where are these going to be like located in the book?
So in the book, so because of how the stories, the number of pages align, between each one, you've got these kind of placeholders currently. And so there's perfect room for an ad right there.
Oh,
and
that's
so
awesome.
There's 3 of them between the stories. But I was thinking the last one is going to be for that thank you section for everybody. And so that's going to leave 2 between the first 2 stories.
And then once again, everybody who is watching, here is the sign up link for the pre-launch. What time are you looking at going live with this campaign?
I was looking at this evening, later this evening. I don't know I think I was initially thinking 6 o'clock Eastern. I may do a minor adjustment on the countries. I'm still hesitant on if I'm going full global or limited global countries, just because I know there's lots of issues with shipping, and I don't want to put fans in a position where they're, they pick a tier, they're in Australia or something, and they say, yeah, I want to copy this, and something prevents them from getting the book.
Yeah,
that would be horrible.
But it's nice that you have the PDF, because that's a nice way to kind of work around that. So here are the stretch goals. These are going to be updated as the campaign progresses. Do you have any idea of like what items you're looking at doing?
So currently, that limited card that was up front, I'll probably throw that in as not the olive oil edition, but there's another edition of that card I can provide. I thought about throwing that in there. The blue image you saw of the Seth DeMoose variant cover, the virgin of that, I thought about doing that as a print or even a potentially limited cover.
Okay.
So those are some options as well. And honestly, just kind of see where it went. I have some options I have a couple other options for potentially additional cards, things like that. But, first campaign, let's just say I'm not sure how far down the stretch goals we get. I know a lot of first campaigns don't go very far. They barely make their quota.
And I always feel like it's better to kind of do what you can, like, make sure you can get done instead of biting off more than you can chew as well, especially with your first campaign. So that was a exclusive look. I don't know how many people have gotten a chance to kind of look at that, but I appreciate you giving us a chance to really deep dive that campaign and seeing what is going to be going live later on tonight.
Yeah, anytime.
So now let's kind of like pretend we're in the future right now. So after going through that campaign, let's say it's live right now. What would you say to anyone who's on the fence about backing this? Something you might be able to use later to kind of like clip and maybe use to help people later on when you are live with this. For anyone who might be on the fence, what would you say to them directly?
I'm really hoping, considering it's the whole idea as an anthology, there's so many varied stories that can come down the pipeline. My hope is that even if they're on the fence about these stories, that, maybe even they throw in $1 tip or something just to stay in the loop, and just let them know that, hey, there's more coming down the line. We've got all kinds of different stories. If you like something creepy and weird, we got it. If you want something gory, I've got it. Action packed, I've got it. Like, there's a variety of stories, and this can only unfold if we help support the first campaign and get it rolling.
No, that is awesome. Rick, this has been such a awesome breakdown. I loved learning about this anthology and everything that's gone into it. Before we wrap things up completely, though, as much as this is a podcast where we really promote you and your book and upcoming campaign, it's a nice learning platform for anyone new who might be in the scene. Maybe they're starting comics for the first time. Maybe they're just stuck getting, to the next place. With that being said, for anyone who is struggling getting going with either just like script writing or anything concerning comics, what type of advice would you offer them to kind of help them get motivated to go?
Oh, so fortunately, it seems like there's a lot more options than when I first looked at it. I managed to find a couple of books, and that was cool. It seems like now there's just tons of resources for writing. I mean, I know, like I said, Dirk Manning's got a book. Brian Michael Bendis has a fantastic book on getting started in writing. Hell, I think there's even like a learning from Stan Lee, like a Marvel book on writing. There's just so many resources out there. You can even go online and find scripts. One thing that definitely helped me was reading other creators, writers' scripts, and then taking side by side and saying, okay, what are they writing? What is the artist producing? What are they saying? What are they not saying? What are they really letting the artist take on? And kind of getting their perspective on how that process went. Because I know I've heard things about challenges, I think we've all probably heard the stories of, Spider-Man and Todd McFarlane, and challenges there. And, even the Brian Michael Bendis book talks about challenges he faced where he was trying to write too much and the artist would get mad at him and say, hey, no, you need to stop that. Like, I think he was like going as far as like drawing thumbnails and stuff. And the artist was like, hey, that's my job, stop. And for me, I always felt like me writing something and handing it to an artist was like a burden to them. And so, I was kind of thinking that same thing, like maybe I should, do this and write all this. And it's like, no, that the artists love it. They want to tackle this, they want to do it. And when I started getting out there and talking to artists, which is another great recommendation, just if you want to get started, just go look at artists, go see what they do, go, see their personalities, how they work, what they're interested in, how they draw. And you can start to see your stories in that style. And then you can start to work with them to say, hey, what do you like? What do you don't like? Even if you're not working with them yet or hiring them, it's a great learning experience just to say, hey, how do you like the writer to write? What do you want them to say? What don't you want them to say? So that you can have the free reign to do what you feel you want to do. And it's just such a great experience. And everybody's been so amazing to work with. And all of those things together have just really helped me to get to where I need to be. And I hope that that's good information for the next creator coming up.
No, I think that was some awesome advice, really, and I think it was sound too. Rick, I really appreciate you coming here, breaking everything down. That was great. Thank you so much for that as well. Everyone watching, here is the pre-launch for it once again. Be sure to sign up. It is going to be going live later on tonight, so you don't want to miss out on getting that notification and getting that holographic card, limited to 25 backers. Rick, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. What social media platforms would you like to shout out before we end?
I mean, I'm on Facebook, and I recently joined Twitter because Facebook, I wasn't getting much traction. Facebook was just, it was a beast. It was such a hustle, so much work for a very little gain, it seemed like. But then I hit Twitter, and people, were starting to follow much more quickly, and retweeting links to the campaign and things like that. And my pre-launch numbers started going up a little more quickly. I'm like, crap, I wish I'd done that, a month or two ago.
All right. So be sure to hit him up on Twitter. We have that link in the description if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Everyone watching, I hope you have an awesome Thursday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.